6th August 2010, 0 hours in Leh. An event, an extreme event, an extreme geological event induced due to heavy rains occurred. This event was so powerful that it not only changed the entire geomorphology of the area, but created devastation which will be remembered in Leh through many generations in near future. What exactly happened on that day? The administration and many reports say that it was a cloudburst and a natural phenomena, and the devastation caused was due to natural processes. But I was trapped between those lights, between those floods on that day. And I felt that it was my moral responsibility to bring truth to the light. And everybody should know what exactly happened. After miraculously escaping on that night, I thank God for making me witness to that magnificent geological event of that night and wee hours of 6th morning. But I did not want it to end my life like that. And since I was saved, I just wanted to know what exactly and how exactly someone wanted to kill me. And this was just an investigative approach which I followed, chasing my killer, a geological phenomena, a flood, a mudslide, a mud slush, what triggered it. Everything was quite amazing, and I just wanted to know the truth. The truth, what actually caused that much amount of debris moving in such a way that it just engulfed had those debris been more than 3.5 feet at my location, and had that event been more episodic, then we would not have been saved. I had predicted these types of mudslush and floods induced due to heavy rains in Leh in 2006 conference on sustainable habitats organized by Military Engineering Service. But at that point, nobody took me so seriously and everybody laughed, because the amount of precipitation I was talking about, the amount of debris movement I was talking about, nobody could imagine, neither could I. But after seeing this slush, it was easier for me to believe that these types of flood, these types of slush, these types of activities was in the past responsible for devastation of civilizations, and Indus Valley civilizations was no exception. Having been saved on that night, that is another story, and maybe I will upload it very soon. We were just trying to analyze what had happened. It's very difficult now to even imagine what had happened. Having spent the night somehow here and there, saved miraculously, in the morning the sun was never so pleasing, the lights of the sun were never so pleasing. The night of 6th, 5th and early hours of 6th morning was really the worst night I could imagine in my life. But what I saw in the morning, it was really very shocking again. Very little impact was visible in the place where I was living. The maximum impact was 100 to 150 meters away from where I was living, near the State Bank of India, Choglamsar, where a stream was passing and it had been there since time immemorial. Above that and another stretch of about say 500 meters from there, that was the place of actual devastation. And the debris thickness was more than about 7 to 8 feet, extending up to say about 10 to 12 feet. So that was the slush, the movement of boulders, the movement of mud, the movement of sand, everything mixed, moving at a great velocity. And this phenomena was triggered due to heavy rains which were there since the last, I think, whole week. From 7 to 12 feet of deposition, sediment deposition, in a span of about 5 to 7 minutes. That was the only time. And everything, whatever happened in that time, and it was only after that people started. The ground floor people living in that area were all washed out, and many people were just sinking in that slush of about 7 to 12 feet. They were just sinking. Anybody who wanted to run for his life just fell there and was just sinking. This was an event. This was an event which I had written, but I have never dreamt the magnitude of it and how it would have happened. I'm thankful to God for showing me this, because this shows what actually happens when mass civilizations are destroyed. This sediment, this water, this slush, this weathering and erosional deposits and debris over the years are responsible. Their movements are responsible for destroying massive civilizations. And this destruction at Choglamsar and surrounding areas was just an example. A small warning by nature that we should not play with nature, we should not build habitations in their courses, we should allow these courses to be their natural spaces so that these rivers and channels do not obstruct our habitations. These river and channels are not obstructed, and If they are not obstructed, they are not going to obstruct all these. If we obstruct them, they are going to obstruct us. That is what was clear. The Shashilingpo Nala in Leh, this was the worst affected. I will say worst affected in one sense, but Shashilingpo Nala, this Shakshilingpo Nala, almost followed its own course. It was dry Nala, dry stream, almost nobody remembers ever seeing water in that since time immemorial. And the course, on its course only, this bus stop, BSNL exchange, hospital, mechanical division, and below that radio station was constructed on that channel. So, the Shashilingpo Nala just followed its own course. There was nothing wrong in it. But since man had made all these structures on it, so there was destruction. So the destruction was highlighted. So whether we should call it a man-made disaster or a natural disaster is again very clear now. It was a man-made disaster. The nature just followed its own course. Similarly, if you take an example of Choglamsar, the stream was just squeezed because nobody thought that there could be water. And people started building their houses on areas which were traditionally considered to be very fragile by their own ancestors. How? Simple. A money wall at Choglamsar, about 0.61 meters, 0.61 kilometers, say about slightly more than half kilometers, was constructed, and about what could be the thickness? It could be about anything between 10 to 12 meters, I think, was constructed with huge boulders in the past. And that wall actually was made of huge boulders, community participation and huge boulders. And these walls were known as money walls. These walls actually were the demarcating lines clearly defined by the ancestors in the past who had ample amount of knowledge, as is clear with these money walls, that this was the traditional wisdom possessed, and these money walls strongly, clearly represented the flooding events in the past and demarcated the boundaries of flooding events, the avalanches. Anything above them, between the catchment and the money walls, would be destroyed. This was clearly visible and understood by our ancestors. But over the years, this geological significance of money walls was somehow lost, and religious significance of these money into Om Mani Padma, Om walls, was given more importance, as a result of which minor repairs which were to be carried on these walls was not done. These walls became religious symbols, and I think now also nobody took it seriously. But these money walls were protection walls. Not protection walls because they had Om Mani Padma, Om stones on it, inscribed on it, but because huge boulders and thickness and their alignment and their design was so perfect that they could take care of any natural disaster and save the habitations which were below these money walls. These were protection walls, and that is what we see. The clear-cut example here is the housing colony